Alright guys, I have the Viking 280 plugged in on the 3S 450 fully charged, and let's just fly. I cannot wait to get this thing in the air again. So you can see here when I run the throttle up, where'd the vibration go? So I'm just going to hand launch it. And we're up. So this thing just flies so well. There's AS3X on it, and it's completely locked in. It almost feels like the Aura 8 from the Flex Innovations Mamba. It just feels so smooth. Whoa. It feels so smooth, and you can fly so slow with it without it stalling. It's got crazy thrust, and you can see it can loop its own length. Almost. That was not the best example. Here, let's try that again. It can turn on its own length. It's honestly like, this sounds a little ridiculous, but I think this might be the best plane that E-Flite has put out. And I'd be more than happy if they brought this thing back. Yeah, knife edge is great. Now, the manual does say that if you go too fast with this thing, on the high rates, it will oscillate a lot. And you can just see, so you can see it starts to oscillate when I go full throttle. Now, this is probably a very early version of AS3X. Spinning like a ballerina right here. This airplane is just so impressive. And then they also have the precision mode, which I can go into right now. You can see the rates are significantly reduced. This is full aileron, so significantly reduced. But it can be a lot more precise about what you're doing. If you wanted to make this a pattern ship for whatever reason. don't want to fly here for too long. I think that's just my 5-minute timer, so. And there you have it. So that was my flight on the E-Flite Viking 280, and this thing is just such an incredible airplane. It feels so light in the air. It's super floaty because, think about it, it's an airplane that's under 250 grams with 2 wings. How much more floaty can you get? It just flies so amazing. It hovers great. The knife edges, there's a bit of coupling, but that's okay. The roll rate is insane. It's got crazy tail authority, and the AS3X feels great on this model. You can see here, it's wiggling. So yeah, I'm just so happy to have one in my hands. It feels a little unreal, but I can't be complaining. So yeah, thanks for tuning to John's RC. And if you're new to this channel, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Hey guys, John here, and welcome back to John's RC. And today I have one of my dream RC airplanes. This is the E-Flite Viking 280. Now this plane has been discontinued for some time now. I think it's maybe 9 or 10 years now, and they like completely disappeared from like the used RC aircraft market. I've looked and looked on eBay, Craigslist, OfferUp, RC groups, and finally one that was close to us popped up on RC groups. It's quite tattered, but honestly, beggars cannot be choosers. So you can see here, I finally have one in my hands, and I could not be happier. Now, this was designed by the legendary Kike Salmanzini, that also designed the Edge 540 that we featured. That's also right there. And he also designed the UMX Beast and the Flex Innovations Mamba 10E, and pretty much all of Flex Innovations aircraft. And these aircraft, they're just so cool. So you can see here, this is what we're working with. So it's using the Spectrum nano light receivers that they also used on the Edge 540, but we got this used, and it looks like the original owner actually got this little adapter for this. So you can see here, the original bind plug is this little small connector, but they got this adapter to use more traditional bind plugs. And they also swapped out the ESC for this. It looks just like a generic 10 amp ESC. It had a JST, so we had to switch it to an IC2, and it's a bit of a botch soldering job. You can see one of the bullets are sticking out, and our solder was too thick, so we couldn't get this in all the way, but it works. For the battery, they called for a Spectrum 3S 450 mAh battery pack. Not Spectrum, they just called for a 450. And when you put this in here, this thing has an all-up weight of 236 grams. Or at least that's what it said on my food scale. The manual actually says 250 grams, but that my scale showed under it. So I did actually fly this once before, and that was because when we first got this, there was a vibration that sounded so horrible, and it was driving me insane. So I checked everything. I thought originally it was the prop, because if you can see here, it's kind of chipped. But I was like, a prop that's only this chipped could not be making that much noise. So I went over and looked at everything, and I saw that the control horns, or the control rods, were actually pushing against each other, pushing against the horn when the throttle went up. So I CA'd those in place, not wise, but there's not much more I can do. So if I ever have to take this out, I have to drop some CA remover in there. But the vibration stopped for a little, it stopped a little bit, but I could still hear this horrible noise. And then I went over and saw that the little gang horns that went over the two control surfaces for the top and bottom wing, this little link was also vibrating. So I CA'd that in place too. Both sides. The vibration was still there. So I realized that it had to be either like the shaft, the spinner, or the prop, but I couldn't, for the life of me, I couldn't figure it out. So I was like, all right, if I'm gonna fly this with this crazy vibration, I have to make sure that if I run it to full throttle, nothing's gonna happen. So I ran it to full throttle, the spinner shot right off. And guess what? Right after the spinner came off, and it did take some of the back plate with it. You can see the little hole that threads the spinner to the back plate came off with the spinner. But after I spun it up, there was no vibration. So that concludes my little story. I think I do have the spinner on my body right now. This is the suspect. And you can see here, this is what it would look like with the spinner on. But to be quite honest, I don't really like the spinner, so it looks cooler without it anyway. So, this thing has a wingspan of around 600 millimeters, and I completely forgot the length. But it's running the 3.5 gram servos across the entire plane. So you have one for the elevator, one for the rudder, and then 2 for the ailerons. The original owner lost the original horn for the right aileron, so I used this random servo horn that I found that doesn't fit on it at all, but it works. Then the screw tightens on it, so keep quiet about it. But we can see here when we plug it in, I can show you. Have to plug it in kind of strangely. But this is the legendary Viking. Now, Spectrum programmed in automatic rates that I did not wish to have, but they forced it upon me. So they programmed my gear switch to rates. So you can see this is full rates on aileron, elevator, and rudder. What I really like is the rudder control authority. I mean, that's absolutely insane. Same thing for the elevator. So because the horn on this wing is shorter, we have slightly less rates, but it's okay. Also keep quiet about that. So let's go and fly it.